Bob Good is with us, Republican 5th District in Virginia. Congressman Bob Good, great to have you with us. Sorry for the delay, sir. Our phone lines have been jammed. Thank you.
Good morning, John. Great to be with you again. Thanks for having me.
Congressman, you put out a statement the other day on the 25th Amendment. Now it doesn't matter because Mike Pence already said he's not going to do that. Now you guys are dealing with impeachment in the House. And look, I'm in favor of it. Here's why. I think our movement has got to go through this process. We have to go through it. And let's get Liz Cheney's out there. Let's get the Adam Zingers out there. Let's get the McConnells out there. And let's find out who stands where. And I think the president should get defended. I heard his speech. Congressman, you heard his speech. Did you think he did anything wrong in that speech? He should have acted sooner. I've criticized him on that. But what is going on with this impeachment? Where do you stand?
Well, of course, I will vote against the impeachment. The mentality of the Democrats, as you know, John, is we don't need a trial. He's already guilty, so let's go ahead and convict him. My understanding is we're only going to have an hour of debate on each side today. They've already scheduled for us to start, I think it's at 10 o'clock this morning. They're going to have a vote this afternoon. We know this is a sham when it's just a week to go, a week today until he's done with his term. We're going to have a peaceful transition of power. We all recognize we've got to move forward together. You've got the president-elect saying, hey, we want to unify and heal. This is anything but unifying and healing. This is going to just further divide us, deepen and harden divisions, and it's a sham to try to tarnish the otherwise great legacy of a great president who has done more to help the American people in 4 years than any president of my lifetime. What they want to do is just permanently damage him, permanently embarrass him, permanently tarnish him. It's all political, and that's what the 25th Amendment effort was yesterday. It was never intended, as we know, to be a political weapon. It was weaponized yesterday, and here we've got impeachment, obviously weaponized today for political reasons, just to try to damage an outstanding president who's done a great job.
I agree with you, Congressman, 100%. Why is there only an hour debate? Why can't the president mount a defense?
Well, it's a congressional effort here, and we're a majority-run House, and so you've got Pelosi and the Democrats ramrodding things through, trampling on the rights of the minority, and stifling debate, and so, they make the rules, and we vote against the rules. We're going to have a vote this morning to vote against the rules, and they're going to make the rules, and we're going to get outvoted. It's like you alluded to earlier, John. It's the hard work, but it's the truth, that we get the government that we deserve, in a sense, and we've got to fight the battles and win at the local level, win at the state level, and win at the congressional level. You can't elect bad people and expect them to do good things. And we're all going to suffer from that today, and we're going to suffer from that in the Congress for these next 2 years. The margins are more thin. We've got a chance to have more of a fighting chance, if you will, than we have in past Congresses because of how thin the majority is, but it still is a majority.
What is the majority that Pelosi have? Was it now a 5-seat majority?
Yeah, I think it's 212. I'm sorry, 222 to 212. So you're right. There's only about 5 seats to spare. Or 5-vote margin, as you know. And so we've got the ability to put a lot of pressure and to fight. But that's what we've got to do. And as we know, what's at risk here? Biden and this Congress want to undo all of the great work that our president has done these past 4 years. They want to undo his economic policies. They want to undo his border policies. They want to undo the energy independence that we've achieved. Issue after issue is at risk here. And, what we've got to do, we've got to fight. We've got to expose them, do our best to do that. But we've got to elect good people. We've got to elect good people this coming year in the General Assembly. We know that Virginia used to be, Virginia was a model for the country. Now Virginia has become a model for the country the other way from a government standpoint.
Yeah, it's a clown show. I mean, caucus of the corn. I mean, the whole thing, the liberal legislation, the gun grab, all the things they're trying to do, get rid of right to work, which has made Virginia one of the most attractive states for business. I mean, the list goes on and on. I think we're on the same page here. See, I think that this is an opportunity for Trump voters, for these. I mean, it's not 75 million because there's people that voted for Trump basically that hate him, but they thought Biden was worse. So let's call it 50 million. I mean, we got 50 million followers here, Bob.
That's right.
And obviously, when you ran against Denver Riggleman, by the way, thank you for winning. And I backed Denver. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made was not backing Bob Good for Congress because you turned out to be an absolute gem. and I admit when I'm wrong, and I was absolutely wrong about that. Riggleman has thrown us under the bus 3 days to Wednesday, and he keeps doing it. So thank you for winning. I exercised horrible judgment, Bob, and I'm sorry for that.
Hey, I appreciate you saying it. I agree with you, but I appreciate you saying it takes a big man to say it, and a lot of people don't go back and correct things. So thanks for doing that.
But my thing is, we have all these voters, and we control the primary process, and we control these state legislatures, and we can have voter reform, and we can get rid of the mail-out ballots to millions of people. I mean, I was in. When I was in Georgia for 8 weeks, I mean, the people that were calling in my show and that ballots were just showing up in their mailbox for people that hadn't been there for a decade, just showing up with different names on them. I mean, this went on and on and on and on. We can reform that from within, right?
No question. You know, you're really the fraud or the irregularities or the illegal voting or whatever you want to call it that happens. It really falls in two areas in particular: lack of voter ID integrity in terms of whether it's signature matches, whether it's ID. How in the world can anybody legitimately be against voter ID? But we've got it right here in Virginia, where we repealed the requirement for voter ID by the Democrat General Assembly, and now they want to diminish even a witness. You don't even have to have a witness for a mail-in signature. So signature matches, voter IDs, there's no reason to be against trying to ensure that the right person is legitimately voting unless you want to cheat. Secondly, as you said, massive unsolicited mail balloting, fraud with all kinds of opportunity for fraud. Those two areas, and then as my friend Mo Brooks in Alabama has done a great job in pointing out, illegal alien voting, illegal immigrant voting. Those are the three areas that were warned against by the 2005 bipartisan commission chaired by James Baker and Jimmy Carter, that if you didn't make sure that you didn't have illegal aliens voting, if you didn't make sure you had voter integrity from an ID standpoint, and if you subjected us to mass unsolicited mail balloting, that's where the fraud's going to come in. That's where the theft of an election is going to come in. And you would think we could have universal agreement that we only want citizens. We want to make sure the right person is voting, who really is a legitimate person that's voting. And that, this unsolicited mass mail balloting, of course, contributes to that as well.
John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with Republican Congressman, 5th District of Virginia. That's kind of the south side, southwest Virginia area. And Bob Good is with us. So, Congressman, I got a question here from Dr. Joe in Northern Virginia. He says, why isn't the president getting due process here?
Because they've decided that it is a congressional action. So, unfortunately, in this example, I mean, we certainly respect the Constitution, but in this example, it's because of the way that it's being used. It's congressional action. And, again, they have decided that he's guilty, and so they don't really need a trial. They're going to go through the motions of a trial. We already know the House is going to convict, or I should say impeach. They're going to charge him, if you will. And we're going to vote against it. As certainly myself and my friends here are going to vote against it, of course. We're going to do our best to battle it today and to debate and at least let the American people see that we're fighting and expose them for who they are and what they're doing. Now, this is a sham, and we all know it's a sham, but they've got the majority. Even without any Republican support, the Democrats have the majority, so they're going to be able to impeach them.
Let me just ask you about one thing. The New York seat where Representative Tierney, I think, was up by 12 votes or 25 votes, and then the Democrats said they were going to fight it in Congress. Whatever happened to that seat? Has that been resolved?
She is not seated, to my understanding. I think that's the one seat that's not resolved yet. And, yeah, she has been ahead, to my understanding, by just a handful of votes. And they have threatened to go ahead and just to seat her irrespective of the voting total, is what my understanding. Now, we've not been hearing about it now as we've been focused on the events of last week and this week, so that's not resolved yet. But it is a real concern. The ends justified the means for this Democrat Party. They have declared war on us. They have declared war on Republicans. They have declared war on Trump supporters, and it's by any means necessary. And, it's whatever you have to do to accomplish the ultimate objective, which is to force socialist, communist policies upon this country.
So let me get this straight. They're going to seat the Democrat who lost the election, and there was no allegations there of irregularity or fraud or anything else, simply because they have the power to do that. But yet when the president was presenting the evidence, they said he shouldn't have done that. So, how does that work? You seat Democrats who lose, but then you don't give the president an opportunity to litigate his case. How's that work, Bob?
Yeah, it obviously doesn't work. Last week, we in the Congress exercised our constitutional responsibility to review the electoral votes submitted to us and to accept or reject those. And as has happened in elections past, when you felt like there were significant questions which have not been resolved, then a number of us voted, of course, not to accept those. That was our constitutional responsibility. And, of course, what the Democrats and their friends in the media, notwithstanding you yourself here, of course, but in the media, what they've done is try to conflate or to try to merge together, the violent actions of a few, which we all condemn, of course. We have been consistent in condemning lawlessness and violence and rioting in any form for the past year, unlike the Democrat Party. And we have been consistent in standing with law enforcement, unlike the Democrat Party for that, and we continue to do that. But to suggest that just because we exercise our constitutional responsibility in Congress to review those votes and to accept or reject those electoral votes, to suggest that is improper, of course, is not accurate, not true.
Congressman Bob Good, Republican, 5th District, Southside Virginia, Charlottesville South. Congressman, thanks for being with us. Thanks for your input. Keep fighting.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you're doing. Keep up the fight.
All right. Thank you.